Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GSPN Daily Wolves. I'm your host today, it's Will. And of course, as always, I'm joined by Chris, the wonderful Chris. How are we?
I'm good. Welcome back, stranger. How you doing?
I know. Again, long time no speak. Well, in the world of football, long time no speak anyway.
Yeah, and welcome in, everyone. Welcome in.
Yes. Now, of course, I'm sure everybody is aware, we travelled to Selhurst Park this evening to take on Palace. Now, Chris, I know you've already given a few of your thoughts. I was just wondering, would you like to summarise them as best as possible for both myself and perhaps anyone who wasn't able to catch them first time around? What are your general thoughts and feelings? Ahead of tonight's games.
Yeah, I jumped on after the FA Cup match at the weekend because I figured that was a good time for a few quick, immediate thoughts, given that they are our opponents, and obviously they've had a massive weekend with their first ever piece of silverware, and it's a good one at the FA Cup. It's still a classic in many of our eyes, and it should be. I'm just annoyed on a side note that, as I rambled on a bit about in that episode, that it's in the midst of the last few weeks of the season as opposed to after the season. Let's not go. I mean, I can go there, but I'll try not to go on a massive tangent. So yeah, it seemed like a good time. And the summary of my thoughts from that, if you don't want to scroll back through all of that, was that I'm hoping that, if anything, a win for them in the cup was good for us, because maybe we'll get a hungover team playing us. Because even if they make a lot of changes for people that didn't start, that's still only a few days since the event. What is it, 2-3 days, if that? And so on top of that, I'm sure they had at least 1 or 2 days of partying together, maybe with family, whatever. So, as much as they want to be back on focus, their season is, let's face it, their season is done. And I'm sure they're in high-flying celebration mode, hopefully a few hangovers still being nursed. So that was the gist of it. I'm hoping it's a good time to play them, and maybe we can go and just get back into winning ways.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's one of those where, much like most things in football, it could go one of two ways, because on the one hand of things, as you've mentioned, I expect to play a team that's hungover, that's on the beaches, that, without a care in the world as to what the result is in the league, when you've just won the first major trophy for your club. And it's none other than the FA Cup, as you said, Chris. Just a quick note on that. I think it's just so good for football that the sort of underdog team won. And what I especially liked was just the sheer emotion in the Palace players, who sort of drop into their knees at the final whistle and sort of disbelief. Because, imagine the reaction of the City players had they have won it. It wouldn't have been anywhere near half as sort of, meaningful.
No. The other part of, I had a few little rambles in my solo monologue. One part was that, as much as I'm not, a fan of Crystal Palace, I have no kind of love, shall we say, for them, because especially we always seem to sometimes have a tough time against them. But I am thankful that Man City didn't win a thing again, and because we've had such a flurry of Man City over the last few years, and that it is a fan base that, at least A, because they haven't won anything before, and B, because it's actually quite, it's a very old club as well, and that have been waiting a very long time to win something. So it's a fan base that actually appreciate and are going to really bask in it, and that's lovely to see. So I'm credit to them, at least, and I'm happy for a team, like you say, to win it that hasn't won it before.
Yeah, Chris, just on that, actually, I saw the TikTok after the game, or whatever it was on Instagram, whatever, and it was, of the Palace fans and players' reactions. And I saw this random kid just comment, all of this for an FA Cup, with a little question mark.
Oh my.
And I was like, oh, just shut up. It really, really wound me up, because, I mean, Chris, I tell you now, if Wolves had won the FA Cup, it's not the sort of team that you'd still be worried about being hungover. It'd be the GSPN Daily Wolves team that I think would very much be hungover and absolutely on cloud nine because, a lot of people, like you said, a lot of Palace fans in this situation would have given everything to win that. So, it's nice that it goes to someone who sort of appreciates it, I suppose.
This is the thing, and I'm sorry, we are going to go on a little bit of rant for a second, is that, it's the FA Cup is still glorious. It's a unique football competition that it is the entire football league, and so many other sports don't do this where literally, as minnows can come from way down, amateur teams can come all the way up and play behemoths and all this kind of thing. The magic of the cup is still there. We see it in one way or another every year or two with teams, from lower divisions getting to quarterfinals, even, semifinals, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's undermined over recent years with the amount of, obviously, your top 4 to 6 teams who are like got so many games that they just want it out the way and they start fielding kids and this kind of thing because they just want it gone. And then on top of that, because so much media is focused on Europe now, we've got the fact that the FA Cup has been moved to 2 weeks before the end of the season. And on top of that, it means that it's no longer the focus. It was the end of the year. It was like your football league is finished.
Yeah.
It is the final. It is literally the football finale of the year before the summer. So all eyes used to be on it. It was the focal point of football. And so it was the day was the thing. And you literally, coverage used to watch the buses go to Wembley. That was all part of it. Like it was almost like when, the new prime minister comes in and the cameras show that, the Rolls Royce go into the mansion for the Queen to do the knighthood and all that, or whatever. It was all that jazz. It was the whole day. It was a thing because all the other football had finished and it was the culmination of English football. And all of that is being sucked away by shoving it in between other games. I mean, Palace having a game in the league 3 days later just goes to show how it's just being almost cast aside. And now other fans especially that follow all these big teams that are just so focused on Europe, they're losing the essence of it, and it's being ripped out of our game, and it is upsetting. It's upsetting me, Will.
I can tell, and I can only echo what you've just said there, Chris. I think, if anything, and I suppose to a certain extent this is what counts, is that you speak to most sort of day-to-day just football fan, average fan, and they'll agree with you 100% on all of those things. And it does still mean a lot to a lot of people. And I hope that, as we said, the underdog winning it gives that a bit more of a boost, and gives people, I suppose, a bit more of a focus on the cup, having seen what it can do for a club and for fans.
I do want to say, as much as I think Man City are huge, I think it's almost and I hate to say this as a Wolves fan about Crystal Palace, but I think people keep doing Palace a disservice by saying they're the underdog, if you know what I mean. Like, they're an underdog team. They're a Premiership team.
Yeah.
They were a good Premiership team. And I know that, they had to defend a lot because it's against Man City, but it's not like, it's not like a Championship or an old First Division, Second Division team coming up and winning the cup. They're not exactly minnows. I know they haven't won an FA Cup before or anything like that, but they're still a big club. So do you get where I'm coming from?
No, of course, but they're at the end of the day, they were still underdogs. I mean, the City team on paper should beat the Palace team. There's no, on paper, there's no sort of debating that. And I suppose that's all that I most football fans would think of. It was, so I do get your point, but I think as well it's been that long since. I think I remember, did Swansea win like the League Cup or something? Even then, they might have been Premier League when they won that. But it's been that long since a team in sort of the lower half of the Premier League has won that competition.
Yeah,
that in the sense of, relative to that.
Yeah, overall, it's been a good year if you think that, we're seeing the end of Man City's Premier League run in terms of title holders, which is great. We've seen Newcastle win the League Cup for the first time in a long time. And I know they're a big club, but at least, again, it's someone else winning that. And now Crystal Palace win the FA Cup. So, I think overall, makes it a little bit more interesting as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. And so that takes me, I suppose, to the flip side of my original argument, which was going to be, as much as Palace should rightly so be celebrating that for, well, more than 3 days, as you mentioned, they've got a league game straight after. It's ridiculous. On the flip side of them being sort of hungover from the partying and sort of being on the beaches is we're going away to a team that couldn't be more confident, having just, sort of ridden the wave that they've ridden, having won the cup the other day.
True.
So, they're going to be absolutely buzzing, and it could work against us in that sense. But yeah, I'd like to say overall, I'm fairly confident that, if not due to Vitor giving our boys, a bit of a kick up the backside that they appear to have needed after. I mean, definitely against the Brighton the other week.
Yep.
It was the most sort of on the beaches performance I've seen in a long while. So I think, yeah, if not due to that, I'm confident that we'll get something from the game, just due to Palace's sort of, I mean, why would they? No, I know it sounds really bad, but the players don't care at this point if they win or lose on Tuesday night, do they? They care about what they've just achieved.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many changes, like how strong a side Palace puts out in terms of for example, the people that started the cup game. How many people that were in that cup game that went the full, what was it, 100 odd minutes in the end? I was kind of secretly hoping it was going to go to extra time at one point. I've got to be honest, because that would shatter them even more. But as long as we put an end, I would like to put an end to the losses. I don't want to go 3 games unbeaten. I want us to go out on a high. So even if we get a draw away to Palace, which is still I think a decent result, like I say, especially if they do come out on a high.
Yeah, of course.
If we can get a point away to Palace and then looking ahead at a home win at the end of the season to Brentford, I think that would be a decent turnaround over the next 2 games. So yeah, I'm hoping they're still hungover, but even if they're boosted, I'm hoping for some points on the board.
Yes, no, I agree. And you mentioned they're looking ahead towards Brentford, and then after that, looking ahead to a summer transfer window and a new season. But before we look ahead to either of those things, Chris, let's just take a short message from one of our sponsors.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Yes, so in terms of looking ahead then, Chris, if you remember what feels like an eternity ago now, when we first started these Daily Wolves podcasts, it was the summer transfer window, and lo and behold, sort of blink your eyes and we'll be there again this season. So it is on that note that I bring to you 1 or 2 little transfer rumours that have been doing the rounds recently. First of all, reports over the weekend. I mean, these reports have been coming for the past goodness knows however many months. But it's that I think, pretty much after the Brentford game, after the season is finalised, Matheus Cunha's move to Manchester United will be confirmed. That is coming from Fabrizio Romano, so we have the here we go on that.
Can I say once again, we've said it before, but I find it more ironic the longer the season, and now we're coming towards the end of the season, but the longer it's gone on, this whole saga, the fact that as it is, he's going to a team that is looking likely to end below us in the league, possibly 17th in the league, only, for a team that is clearly on its way, as we've spoken about, down in terms of its, its reign as where it's known in the past.
Yeah.
And so it's clearly just all about money and name and nothing more. Because if it was truly about wanting to, be the best at the best level right now, that would not be Man United.
No, not at all. I think the discourse was over the weekend was obviously they've got a sort of slight glimmer of hope at saving their season, as it were, and securing Champions League football ridiculously next season if they were to win the Europa League final against Spurs, which I'm absolutely praying that they don't. Because, and Chris, I've never voiced this, I don't think, on the podcast, and I have absolutely no reason for it either. But ever since I was young, I'm doing wrong, I'm Wolves through and through, but I've always had a weird, whenever I've seen, if I'm a neutral and Spurs on the telly and they're playing someone who I don't care about, I've always weirdly wanted them to win. I've always had a weird little soft spot. I don't know why.
Get out. Just get out.
Well,
this is the last time we will be heard on the Daily Wolves podcast. I'm sorry.
I know,
I'm sorry, everyone.
I
I don't know how he slipped through the net here.
I can't. You know what it is? I remember when I was like, don't know how old, but I had a little PSP, I want to say, and the FIFA I had on it, I think you could only have Premier League teams on it, on like the weird little version I had, and so they were the random team I selected, and it's I don't know, I can't justify it, and I'm not going to try to.
No, please don't.
But either way,
please don't. No, let me cut in to say that I was thinking about this fixture a bit ago because I've been thinking about this whole thing of Cunha going to Man U and how it's ridiculous where they are in the league, and he's made all this thing about going to be doing bigger and better things, and yet clearly not bigger and better things. So just about the paycheck, and then the chance that I mean, the fact that Tottenham and Man U, two of the worst fan bases, by the way, in Premier League football, is from my position in terms of just they both think they should be in that top echelon all the time, even that like Tottenham particularly, they haven't been there in ages, and yet they still seem to think that's where they belong because they've got this ginormous stadium and all this money, and yet they never manage to do it. So they feel this righteous thing to be there. How the two of them are both in the Europa League final against each other in the position they are in the league, and how weird they've been in the league. And you just think, I'm looking at that thinking, if there is any physical way that final could end with neither of them winning, like somehow it gets called off, or like, I don't know, thunder strikes it or something, and the whole thing gets cancelled, whatever it is, postponed for a year, I don't know. But because it feels like neither of them deserve to win, I'm just saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And if it has to be one, purely on a personal note, because I don't want Cunha to get what he's been craving all this time, then it has to be Tottenham, just so that Man U don't get European football, and we see one more dent in Man U fans, righteous glory.
I think that's where most people want Spurs to win.
But if there was any way for a third party to miraculously swoop in and just win this game, or one of them to get suddenly disqualified at the last moment, and then someone that lost in the semi-final get put in their place, then let that happen, please.
Well, yes, and the discourse around the Cunha topic was very much that, and it was essentially the news is that it's confirmed that he will still join them with or without European football.
Pathetic. To be honest, it's pathetic, and I'm sorry I keep ripping this episode all over the place, but it is just pathetic at this point that it's got that all this saga ever since January and before has gone on and on and on. And it just winds me up. And to be honest, I said in my solo thing the other day that, because the goal of the season thing is up. And I'm actually really frustrated for all the great goals he scored. I'm actually really frustrated that they've put so few nominations in for other players. Because I don't know if you looked at that list. There's nearly all Cunha. Yeah. There's Bellegarde. Larson has scored more than one good goal. And there's literally one Larson goal in there. You're telling me that none of his other goals deserved at least a nomination? You seriously telling me that? Chris, they didn't even look at his goal.
He's not the big name. He's not the big name.
You get what I mean? His goal against Tottenham is a great left-footed finish into the corner, just as an example. But there's other ones in there, and it's like the Cunha show. And I'm looking at it, and I'm sure I'm not the only fan out there for Wolves at the moment that's thinking, I don't want to vote for one of his goals. I'm at that point. I'm seriously at that point where I am literally looking at it thinking, well, I'm probably actually going to vote for that Huang free kick because that was actually a pretty slick shot that curved out of the goal and then back in the post. Purely, even though that's like the only thing he's done all season, purely because I don't want Cunha to get the award. And I know that's petty, but that's the saga has drummed on that far now. And it's just like, just go to Man U, fail your career somewhere else. Hopefully they don't get Europe and you get ruined and it all fails because I want it over with. I just want it over with, Will.
Yeah, I think most people are at that point now. So yeah, like yourself, because I can't wait for it to just be done and dusted with. So on that note, let's take another quick message from a sponsor, and then Chris, I have news for you that is not Cunha related. So we're gonna divert away from being the Cunha show, of course.
We'll try,
and I'm gonna, I don't, I must just say before we take this little message, I didn't say it's good news that I have, but either way, it's not Cunha related. So yeah.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
So Chris, as I said, we're getting towards the transfer window. I'm just going to go quick fire with these.
Okay.
And, if you can, not to put you on the spot, but if you can give me quick initial reactions, that would be much appreciated.
Okay. That's assuming I know who some of these names are, but go.
Yes, this you'll certainly know this one. And it's not so much new news, but the club itself is a bit of sort of, something different. And it's that Nuri is reportedly on the watch list of Manchester City. We've had loads of reports this season linking him with Liverpool. But yeah, they're looking to strengthen their left back position, and he's sort of one of the front runners to go there. And as well, Chris, because I'm giving you two bits of stories about outgoings, I'll give you one about a potential incoming. And it's that according to a Italian journalist who works closely with AC Milan, it said that Wolves hold an interest in their loan striker, Tammy Abraham. Abraham's set to leave his parent club. His parent club is Roma. He's set to leave there at the end of this year. West Ham are also interested. But Wolves are the other Premier League club, or one of the other Premier League clubs that are throwing their hat in the ring. So just, quick fire off the bat. Thoughts on the Nuri one?
Nuri, I mean, he's been linked with clubs every summer. It feels like the last 2 or 3 years. All of these clubs, Man City, Man U, Liverpool, every time. I get that he, this season, I think he's leading the charts for wing backs in terms of goals and assists. So it's no surprise that once again, his name is going to be shoved in every direction. It's crazy to think that he's still only, 23 or something? Because he's been with us for several years playing in the first team. It seems there's a lot of people talking about the fact that he may well go. To be honest, as much as we probably want some cash, but hopefully some of that comes from the Cunha sale. I don't want Nuri to go. I think he's fantastic, and I think
not at all.
Even though, and I think as long as he's got someone like Totti behind him, he's a much better wing back than he is, a left back. If he goes, I want amazing money, given his age and his goal scoring record. In terms of, like we said, he's a lot. People want players that can score goals. He can score them, and he does things on the ball that no one else can do. So if he goes, it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be over 50 million, right? Easy.
Yeah. I mean, you take away the stats from him, and I still love him.
Yeah.
Like I said, the stuff he can do with the football, I don't think you can put a price on that. I think the only consolation would be, if he was to depart, would be the return of Hugo Bueno. And Chris, I mean, it's it may be one for us to look at in the transfer window itself, but the thought of some Hugo Bueno crosses fall in the way of Strand Larsen in the box, that gets me excited. I won't lie to you, it does. It sounds very promising.
Yeah, there's been a lot of debate there because there's obviously a lot of talk about the fact that he's going to come back from his loan, and if Nuri stays, Bueno having been out on loan and doing well, I know he's injuries though. He's had a few injuries while he's been out, but he's had Champions League football. He's done well, and he'll be wanting to continue playing. So if Nuri doesn't go, then I think Bueno will. Yeah, I think it'd be one of the two, because I don't think, as much as we want the cover, I don't think they'll both stay. Like, one of them has to make way.
Yeah, of course. Although, having said that, knowing Jeff Shee, it will be both of them, and we'll end up with Totti on the wing next season. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on the potential idea of Tammy Abraham joining our leading lineup? Now, this, I'll be honest, this is very much just a rumour, and it's not one that I can see happening. But I suppose if he's keen for a return to England, a club in our position will be more than likely a club that he ends up going to. So, stranger things have happened. I just wanted to know your thoughts on that, really. What do you make of it?
To be honest, very little. Purely because, I mean, not only am I not I'm not stunned or anything, but also, I mean, the other week people were linking Jamie Vardy with us, for heaven's sake, and I'm sorry, but no. So some of these things, and I know that's terrible to say on a podcast where people want to talk about transfers, but until there's something more solid, some of these guys, I'm like, come on, just hold your horses.
Sorry, would you like to repeat that last sentence again, please, Chris?
But it's but no, he's not it's not a name that's making me think, oh yeah.
I think for if it was a low fee and well, that's it really. If it was a low fee and we can afford to strengthen the position, then I wouldn't be against it. But like you said, we are getting to the time of year now where there's going to be rumours absolutely left, right and centre. But in that time of rumours, Chris,
well, before
sorry, go for it.
Because we're talking about outgoings and stuff, I wanted to note that in the press conference today, Vitor Pereira was asked about a couple of players, particularly Semedo and Sarabia, because obviously they're both coming out of contract.
Oh, yes.
He reiterated I'll shorten his statement. Basically, he rabbled on about both of them, but he made it quite clear once again that he would definitely like them both to stay. He also made it sound like, obviously, once again, that was kind of out of his hands, but he did verbally, publicly express it again, obviously, I guess, so everyone around him knows, in terms of the board or whoever else, that I do like these people and I would like them to stay. He was very explicit both about, obviously everyone knows about Semedo. I mean, he's been great. I think he's been great as a captain, doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes in terms of helping players and welcoming newcomers and taking people out to dinner and all sorts of stuff. And then Sarabia, he mentioned in terms of his professionalism on and off the pitch, the fact that he's always ready whenever he wants, he's called upon, and as a person, not just as a player. So, and again, those things are very important, but we know that the contracts are for both of them are an issue. On a side note to that, because we're on the press conference, not transfer related, or kind of actually, because when asked about injuries, he said the only injuries at the moment were Doyle and Johnston. With small injuries, nothing serious. Now, Johnston, come on, guy. Johnston has been basically out for most of the season in one way or another since he came in, especially since Vitor Pereira came in and Sauer was firmly re-established as a starting goalkeeper. Johnston has been like the most injured goalie. Was basically like I don't want to play, or I'm not getting games, so I'm just going to hide, it seems like. So clearly that's going to be an out this summer. Johnston gone. Finally, let's get it over with. Doyle makes me sad because I think there is a player there.
Yeah.
But
100%.
And whether this is a genuine injury or not, but the fact it was listed against Johnston in the same way, in the same sentence, I was like, oh. So I think if he goes, I think it might be a loan though, because obviously I think he needs to build his price up. Because if you think our sell-on clause from Man City, we got him so cheap, but the sell-on clause is like 50%. So given that he hasn't played hardly this season, I think they'll need to send him out on loan to get his fee up, to show he can do something. Like if it's championship top half or something, to show that he's worth a certain price tag. And then maybe in a year or two, then he'll go.
Yeah. No, I can see that happening. I think either way, those are two players who won't be playing for Wolves next season and are simply protecting themselves to secure whatever transfer it is they can get. Again, we don't know where they're going to be headed at this stage, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of murmurs as to where that will be, in the coming weeks. But Chris, before our little segue there, I was just going to confirm something for you, actually. Okay. As you know, I've had a bit of a hiatus. A small one, but I've not been around to record as much.
Yeah.
I've been doing a bit of travelling.
Oh.
Go to one or two places. And if I said the name Bratislava,
okay,
would that ring a bell? Because I think is it Slovan Bratislava? Wolves played in our Europa League run.
Right. Yeah. I know. I know of
a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Yes, the capital of Slovakia. Uh-huh. Yeah. Not a lot to do there, to be honest with you. Lovely place nevertheless. And the fact that I was going to confirm is that Wolves are indeed absolutely massive out there. So, make of that what you will.
Nice. I'm trying to think if we had players from there before, but my mind is failing on that one at this point in time.
Yeah, my mind is also failing on that one.
We can look it up. Google is our friend.
But yes, Chris, that's all we have time for today. As we look forward to taking on Palace later on. I feel we sort of segued very far from that.
We did.
This episode.
Other search engines are available too.
Yeah, that is what these episodes are about. We're just having a catch up and a chat about the Wolves.
Quickly, Will, you didn't say, so what do you think the score's going to be? Just quickly, tomorrow. Today even, sorry, what I'm saying. I'm getting my days all mixed up.
Just sort of 2-0 Wolves, I reckon.
2-0 Wolves? Okay.
Yeah, it's just what
I'll take a 2-1. I'll take a 2-1 to Wolves. That would be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Either way, I think we'll come away with something with them. Yeah, still feeling the effects of their heavy weekend, I imagine. But yeah, on that note, Chris, I'm going to hand over to you. You already know. You already know what I'm giving you the honours to say right now.
Well, it is nearly. Is it? I don't think it's officially summer yet, but it's practically here in its full glory at the moment. Mm-hmm. And as we have left some of the colder days behind us and those dark dusk mornings, the football season may be drawing to an end, but summer is on its way. And that is once again a reminder, everyone, including to you, Mr. Will, that out of darkness cometh light. Bye-bye.
That was, sorry, just before we go, can I just compliment how poetic that was? It's genuinely brought a tear to my eye.
Thanks.
So, thank you.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.